Good morning, students. Today we will continue our chapter, the Indian Constitution. As we know, our Indian Constitution is provide fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, the Constitution of India assures its citizens certain fundamental or basic rights. Unlike the directive principles, the fundamental rights are guaranteed by the Constitution and have legal sanction. They can be enforced in a court of law. They include political, social, cultural, and economic rights. They are as follows. The fundamental rights in Indian Constitution include right to equality. All persons are equal before the law. This means that all persons shall be equally protected by the law of the country. It also states that no citizen can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion, caste, or sex. Every person has access to all public places, including playgrounds, hotels, shops, etc. The state cannot discriminate against anyone in matter of employment. But there are expectations to this that you will read about later in this book. The practice of untouchability has also been abolished. That means our constitution provides right to equality. It means it guarantees equality before law as well as equal protection of the law to all people within the territory of India. It prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them. This right ensures free access to all of to places of public entertainment or places of public resort, maintained partially or wholly out of state's funds. However, the state can make special provisions for women and children or any socially and educationally backward classes of citizens, including the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. This expectations has been provided since the classes of people mentioned above are considered deprived and in need of special protection. That is called our right to equality. Next right is right to freedom. This includes the right to freedom of speech and expressions, the right to form association, the right to move freely and reside in any part of the country, and the right to practice any profession, occupation, or business. That means right to freedom provides freedom from right to freedom provides free guarantee individual rights that were considered vital by the makers of the Constitution. It guarantees 6 types of freedom to the citizens of India. These includes the freedom of speech and expressions, freedom of assembly without arms, freedom of association, freedom of movement throughout the territory of our country, freedom to reside and settle in any part of the country of India, and the freedom to practice any professions. All these are subject to reasonable restrictions. The restrictions on freedom may be imposed on the grounds of a threat to national security, decency and morality, contempt of court, incitement to offense and defamation. That is called right to freedom, which provides us to be a freedom. Right against exploitation. The Constitution prohibits human trafficking, forced labor, and employment of children under 14 years of age. That means the right against exploitations lays down certain provisions to prevent exploitations of the weaker sections of the society by individuals or the states. It prohibits human trafficking, forced labor, or any act of compelling a person to work without wages. It prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories, mines, and other hazardous jobs. It means we against right against to exploitations. Right to freedom of religion. Religious freedom is provided to all citizens. Every person has the right to practice, profess, and propagate the religion of their choice. That means it provides religious freedom to all citizens and ensure a secular state. According to the Constitution, there is no official state religion and the state is required to treat all religion impartially and neutrally. It guarantees all people the freedom of practice and propagate any religion of their choice. It allows the citizens to manage their own affairs in matter of religions, set up institution of their own for charitable or religious purpose. That is called freedom of religion. Culture and educational rights. The Constitution states that all minorities, religious or linguistic, can be set up their own educational institutions in order to preserve and develop their own culture. That means it protects the rights of culture, linguistic, and religious minorities by enabling them to conserve their heritage and protecting them against discrimination. It grants any section of citizen having a distinct language, script, culture of its own the right to conserve and develop the same, and thus safeguards the right of minorities by preventing the state from imposing any external culture on them. It also prohibits discrimination against any citizen of admission for admission into any educational institution maintained or aided by the state on the grounds of religion, state, caste, language, or any of them. However, this is subject to reservation of a reasonable number of seats by the state for socially and educationally backward classes, as well as reservation of up to 50% of seats in any educational institution run by a minority community for citizens belonging to that community. That is called right to culture and education. In this right, government also provide us a right that is called right to education. It means RTE. The right of children to free and compulsory education came into efforts in 2010 when the Parliament of India enacted Free and Compulsory Education Act. By this act, all children between the ages of 6 and 14 have the right to free and compulsory education in our neighborhood schools so that no can be illiterate in our country. Last right is provided by our constitution is right to constitutional remedies. This allows citizens to move the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights have been violated by the state. That means it empowers citizens to approach the Supreme Court of India to seek enforcement or protection against infringement of their fundamental rights. It provides a guaranteed remedy in the form of a fundamental rights itself for enforcement of all other fundamental rights, and the Supreme Court is designated as the protector of these rights by the Constitution. The Supreme Court has been empowered to issue writs for the enforcement of the fundamental rights. Now, that is our 6 fundamental rights, that is right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, culture and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. Now, as we know that fundamental rights is important for us, so we can also understand significance of fundamental rights. They constitute the foundation stone of the democratic fabric of the country. They provide the necessary conditions for the moral and material protection of human beings. They protect the interest of the minorities and the weaker section of the society. They strengthen the secular nature of the nation. They lay the foundation of an equitable society based on social justice and social equality. They check the absolute authority of the government. Now, it's our fundamental rights. So, next we study about fundamental duties. The fundamental duties of citizens were added by the Constitution in 42 Amendment in 1976. Originally 10 in number, the fundamental duties were increased to 11 by the 86th Amendment in 2002, which added a duty on every parent or guardian to ensure that their child or ward was provided opportunity for education between the ages of 6 and 14 years. The fundamental duties noted in the Constitution are as follows. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India, that is, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Second, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compensation for living creatures. Third, to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. Fourth, to safeguard public property and to observe violence. Fifth, to provide opportunities for education to his or her child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. Sixth, to abide by the Constitution and respect its deal and institution, the national flag and the national anthem. Seventh, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Last, to uphold and protect sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. That is fundamental duties which provide by our Constitution to citizens of India. Now, end of the video, we also discuss what is our government and what is our Constitution. I hope you can easy to learn it. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.